Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to this brand new episode of Hockeytown Rundown. You're here with us, your beautiful hosts, once again, Carlo and Zach. Carlo, I had to back up a little bit for that clap. This mic is super close to me right now, but how you doing this beautiful weekend?
Yeah, that thing's right there. Hey, I can hear you clearly. Doing good, buddy. Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. This weather needs to correct itself. What are we? It's
No, man.
June 1st now, and it's not 80 degrees yet. What's going on here? Come on, Mother Nature.
Yeah, I think next week we're going to pop into some, like next week as in tomorrow. I think it's supposed to get a little bit warmer. But yeah, dude, like the last 2 nights have been cold. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, it's been pretty brutal. I was at a buddy's 30th birthday party yesterday. Happy birthday, Josh. It was a blast.
Shout out, Josh.
It was supposed to be a surprise, and he just refused to leave his house. That's the joke that I'm running with. He actually didn't refuse to leave. But yeah. Anyways, congratulations to you on making it to 30. Proud of you, buddy. But yeah, no, yesterday was super cold. So I was like, okay, come on, Michigan. Let's get it going. Come on, everyone.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Carlo, I think now's a good time as ever to jump right into this episode. We got a lot of things that we got to cover. We also got a lot of life stuff that we got to cover here after this episode. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Based on the title and the thumbnail of this episode, yes, we will be doing our best job at pretending to be Steve Yzerman on PuckPedia GM Mode. So, Carlo, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. I'm going to go ahead and share our screen here.
Boom. Let's do it.
Detroit Red Wings opening night roster for the 25-26 season. Here you can see the full roster breakdown. 33 out of the 50 contracts signed. I believe that's only 17 signed for the Detroit Red Wings currently on the roster. Just kind of scrolling down here a little bit. You even got Carter Mazur in the press box. We didn't touch this yet. This is just how they automatically have it laid out. Even scrolling down, you can look at the non-roster right here on the defense, and then the reserve list of some of the RFAs that the Detroit Red Wings do have the option to sign moving forward or move on from, Carlos. So we're going to do our best to pretend and be Steve Yzerman. I mean, it's not an easy job to fulfill, considering a lot of fans are giving a lot of scrutiny to Steve Yzerman and how he has constructed the roster up to this point. I think you would agree with me on that one, buddy.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing else to say. It's been, it's just, it is what it is. And hopefully we're at a point now where there are some moves that can actually be made based off of whatever. I mean, I still don't really think there's many desirable players on our team. There is, but we don't really want to part with them. And the ones that we do want to part with, I don't think are desirable personally. But then you get into the non-roster and it's like, okay, well, are there things that can be done there now? Because Steve Yzerman sort of restocked that cupboard. And then, of course, picks. So, yeah, man, let's kind of see what we can come up with. I mean, we all know the names that Red Wings faithful are interested in, maybe not interested in, and maybe using those parameters, you know, we can kind of, we'll fire something up and see what you guys think. And obviously we'd like to see what you guys got too. I mean, there's so many different takes out there and there's so many different opinions. And that's just to be clear, this is 100% opinion based. This is not factual. This is not, I mean, you know my line, seeing is believing. So this is just our take on that.
Yeah, and I also wanted to put out there too, I would take everything that we do here with a grain of salt. Obviously, not everything's going to be perfect. We may miss some things. We may overspend. We may overpay. We may underspend and underpay here too. This is primarily just for fun. We hope you guys enjoy this episode doing this with us. And yeah, like Carlos said, go ahead and comment down below if you're viewing or listening to us on YouTube. Same thing over on Spotify and even for Apple. If you're listening, please go ahead and leave down a comment below. Subscribe to us, follow us, rate us the 5 stars, and let's go ahead and jump right into it, Carlo. First thing I think that we should start off with, we should kind of reorganize what the Detroit Red Wings currently have right here before we actually start signing players or making any trades, right? So a couple of things that I wanted to start off with. Okay, that top line, okay. We could possibly just leave that there for now. Andrew Kopp, obviously, we don't want on that second line, so we're just going to move him down. Marco Kasper, 2C. We're very much okay with that, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. But again, I think it depends on who we go after here, right? Because there's talks about, maybe Marco Kasper stays top line wing. Maybe Marco Kasper stays 2C. I think that I think that depends on who's being sought after and who's getting signed this offseason, if anyone's getting signed this offseason. What do you think? Like, we got to kind of run two scenarios on that one.
I think at the very least, he's a fixture in the top 6 right now, for sure.
Oh,
Whether
for
that's
sure.
top
100%.
line, yeah, second C, second left wing, it literally could be anything. So I think these 4 right here generally are a lock for your top 6. Would you concur with?
Yeah. Yeah, you can't even. I think that's undisputable.
Yep. And then would you concur that JT Compher, Rasmussen, Tarasenko, obviously I just put these guys down in the 5 spots, but those won't be there. Maybe we'll see, but would you concur that these players would be in the middle bottom 6 for the Detroit Red Wings? Yeah.
Austin Watson, maybe not even him, but we'll see. We might actually need to yank him up, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, that's definitely 100% the bottom 6. Please make it so.
We'll even push Carter Mazur up there just for the giggles of it for now. Just makes the most sense. So then that does still leave it at 17 players on the roster. Here on the defense, just to make it easy for everyone, because everyone does primarily want to do this, I think it's easy to say we could put Gustafsson and Justin Hall down into the 4 spots, almost like the extra roles for now until we can kind of decide. I'll even put Benny Sherratt down here on the 3rd spot. I would just say right out the gate, Albert Johansson is automatically on this list, Carlo. I think we could probably start there when it comes to anything, really. Would you concur with that on me with that?
Aljo, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
So then with that being said, going down over here, for someone like Albert Johansson, I think he kind of gets the Gustav Lindstrom treatment here, where it's just a minimal contract. It's a 1 year. I think at most you're probably looking at $900K for someone like him. While yes, he did a fantastic job being put in the position that he was this season in his first NHL season. However, I do believe that the Red Wings want to ease him in. And by that, I mean, I do believe that they want him to be a 3rd pair this season, and they want him to feel comfortable in his role, whether if that's on the left or right side, because I do believe that he can play both, Carlo. Would you agree with me on this cap hit and this term hit?
I would probably go a little higher on the cap and maybe go 2 years, but that's just me. For the sake of this exercise, sure, go for it.
Sure. Yeah. And with this, everyone can say the same thing. You know, you can combat us with this. We actually want to hear what everyone else's thoughts are as well. So I actually could see that as well, Carlo. It really just depends on how much Steve Yzerman truly believes that Albert Johansson could be a fixture in any spot, right? In any of the 6 spots that you have for defense. I don't think that he is someone that could be an extra for you moving forward unless you're a super deep team, right? So I think 900 to 950K for 1 to 2 years is more than fair for someone like Albert Johansson. So we'll just stick with that for now.
And just so you're aware, that's what I was thinking. 950 by 2.
Yeah.
That's where. But again, like it's boom. Okay.
And then from here, Carlo, I guess let's just kind of keep it the same. Is there anyone else on this reserve list that you would add? Someone like Elmer Soderblom, I think I would add. I'm a little hesitant for Jonathan Berggren right now and everyone else, but what would you give someone to Elmer Soderblom right now? And then doing this now, and then if we need to revisit it, we can restructure that one later.
Yeah, I would, off the cuff, I think I'd go 1 year for Soda and probably something similar to Albert Johansson at 900.
I agree. Because it's not like he played the full season. While, yes, he's played, I believe it's 100 games already in the NHL, but this is someone that the Red Wings need to see showcase, okay, I belong in the NHL. I can be a fixture in the bottom 6, maybe even in the middle 6. And he is someone who is getting older within the Detroit Red Wings pipeline as well. So he's got to step up and he's got to showcase that he does belong with the Detroit Red Wings and within the NHL as well with his big body. So let's see if he can actually improve that. And for someone like him, I mean, same thing, right? I'm just going to push him right here with the bottom 6. I don't believe that there is room. Maybe there's room in the middle 6 for him eventually, but top 6, I don't foresee that happening. I think you concur with that.
Yep, 100%. Man, I'm hoping for a big season from Soda. Whew.
Now, this is kind of where it gets tricky from here because here's Steve Yzerman, us pretending to be him. We went within first and we started touching on some of our younger guys, right? So we got our Albert Johansson, we got our Elmer Soderblom. I think the next move Steve Yzerman would do here is potential buyouts or potential trades and try to figure that out because obviously you have the draft upcoming. and all of that before UFA actually hits. So I do believe that we will see Steve Yzerman making some trades before free agency actually hits. Would you concur with that with me as well, Carl?
Yeah, I think you have to, because you want to know how much money you have to go into free agency with. So I think at this point, it's a perfect time to do some trading and some buyouts. That way you have a better, I guess, a more clear picture on your total cap space, which is at the top right of the screen. So you know how you can construct from there. So let's get into the fun part. Here's the fun part. We're going to get grilled for this. So let's get into the fun part.
And for the people who aren't watching, we'll do our best to narrate this whole entire thing. And so, like Carlos said, it is at the top right. So currently, with the way that we have it constructed right now, with the 19 players on contracts on the roster, you only need 4 more technically. And the Red Wings have $19.5 million left that they can use towards UFAs, trades, signing players in general. Carlo, off the rip, just name off the players that you are interested in buying out, and then we'll just kind of try and figure out who it is that we want to buy out, if there's anyone that we actually want to buy out, and see if it makes sense.
So buyout candidate, I think, would probably be Vladimir Tarasenko.
Yeah.
Or trade. I mean, buyout or trade. I'd love to try and trade Comfer, and yeah. So sorry, Tarasenko as a buyout candidate. Comfer probably a trade candidate. Justin Hall, I don't know if there's anything we can do with that, but we should probably explore that one too. And then I'm curious about, I know we didn't sign him, but Berggren. What if we did a sign and trade to package him up for something, or package him up with someone to move? Just a thought.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think Berggren, I don't think that you actually have to sign him, then trade him. I think
just trade his rights.
I think if you just trade his rights, that whoever acquires him would probably want to handle that on their own, because I don't think he's going to want that much cap or even really term. I think at most, if you did trade him, he'd probably get 2 to 3 years with some team. Just throwing out a team name, Chicago Blackhawks, right?
Yeah, Chicago always comes to mind. Buffalo comes to mind. Seattle comes to mind, but okay,
maybe a team even like Philly. Who knows? We're gonna touch on some of these teams regardless, right? But I would agree with you. I think the biggest name here that for buyout would be Tarasenko, Gustafsson, or Hall even. I've seen cases for people saying we should absolutely buy out JT Compher. I personally wouldn't want to do something like that, only because you're gonna have to pay him until 2031. No, thank you. I don't want to do that. It's not a hill that I'm willing to die on, but I do firmly believe that there is space actually to trade JT Compher to someone. But actually, Carlo, to be honest with you, in my perfect world, I actually don't think Steve Yzerman buys out any of these players. I actually think that players that we don't want, I think we end up trading. And I want to throw out a trade to you, okay? And I saw this yesterday online, and I do apologize because I can't get credit for it, because I did take it from someone and I can't give them credit for it because I can't remember who I saw it from. So I do apologize. And it's going to be Erik Karlsson for Justin Hall, William Wallander, and Michael Rasmussen. No cap retained on Erik Karlsson. You take on the 2 years at 10 mil, but you move on from $6.6 million, and then William Wallander. Pittsburgh gets Justin Hall, who is very familiar with Kyle Dubas. They get Michael Rasmussen, who I know is a Red Wings faithful, right? Fans truly love Michael Rasmussen. He gets the A sometimes. I get that. He's also not a Steve Yzerman pick. We have to remember that. Look at all the other Red Wings picks that he has moved on from that were not made by him. I do like Michael Rasmussen. We just even said on the last episode that he's probably one of the more grittier, more physical guys on this team. However, someone like Erik Karlsson and then playing with someone like ASP could do magical things for ASP, considering a lot of Red Wings fans like to pretend or say like that could be our Erik Karlsson 2.0 or light, however you want to pronounce it. So in this scenario, Carlo, yes, you would move on from 6.6 mil. You essentially take on 3.4 mil added onto an Erik Karlsson deal. The only thing that I don't like about this, Karlsson doesn't play defense, but it's goal scoring.
Yeah.
But if you were to make this trade, and just for the sake of it, we're just going to do it, Simon Edmondson can play really good defense playing with Erik Karlsson. I think he could defend his struggles on the back end. I think right behind Moritz Seider is more than fine. And then that's your PP2 QB right there, Erik Karlsson or Moritz Seider. You could swap one of those guys on PP1 or PP2 right there. And I think that's more than fine right there. But your overall thoughts on a trade like that, where it's Erik Karlsson for Justin Hall, Michael Rasmussen, and William Wallander?
I personally don't think I would go that route. 10 million's too high. I know you're moving some cap in Hall and Rasmussen, but I don't know. I don't think Karlsson on this team. I just get Ghost vibes, Gostisbehere vibes. Like, yeah, he can score, but he can't play defense. And yeah, that's just me though. That's just me. If we're gonna make a trade for a D-man, I would personally try to go after like Bo and Byram. If you're gonna go and explore the trade route, because at least at that point, Bo and Byram could potentially play on the top line with Moritz Seider.
So then let's hear your proposal for a Bo and Byram trade right here, right quick. It's got to at least include the first pick that we have, right? You tell me, Steve Yzerman.
It depends. I think it depends because you know what? I'm going to shout out real quick. Good friend of the pod, Jennifer Morris. She sent me something. I want to find it because I actually really liked it. Shout out Jen if you're watching, which she normally does. She's always dropping us lines. I'm going to shout you out real quick because I really liked what you did with Bo and Byram. Okay, so here's what Jen did. And last week, if you folks remember, we were asking people, like, send us what you guys think, and we're going to throw it up and see if we can make it work. So here's what her take was, and I don't mind it, because it gets rid of somebody that I just love the idea of getting rid of. Bo and Byram for Berggren. So now here comes that sign and trade or whatever. She has Berggren at $1.5 million and JT Compher and a second round pick in 2025 for Bo and Byram.
This one I would not be upset with. And obviously, as Red Wings fans, I think this is more of a win for the Detroit Red Wings. It's how much does Buffalo believe that Jonathan Berggren can be a middle six or top six player for them? Adding someone like JT Compher obviously can play your 2C for you. Is that something that they need? I'm not sure if they actually do need a 2C right now, but we do know that they are looking for ready now players in return for any trades. They don't want futures. They have already made that loud and clear. So how much do they value someone like JT Compher? I do believe that there are teams out there, and it's not a hill that I'm willing to die on, but I'm very close to it, that I do believe there are teams out there that believe that he is someone that can be serviceable for them and just needs a new change in scenery. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm a little hesitant with the second, only because I do think that you would need to include the first. I think Jonathan Berggren's value isn't as high as a lot of people seem to think it is. And even like other people have said, JT Compher, a lot of people think that you would have to include something to move on from him. So personally, to me, I don't believe it's enough. But I do like the idea of it, and I do believe that someone like Bo and Byram could come in and actually make a difference for this team. Adding them real quick here, just looking at it, well, you would have to sign them real quick. So then after you make this trade, Carlo, what are you giving someone like a Bo and Byram?
So I can tell you what Jen did. I can tell you what I would do. She went short term at $6 million, 3-year deal at $6 million.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of think it would take a little more. Little more juice. So for me, I think I would go 6-year because he's just kind of like his age. He fits.
I like where your head is at, because he's 23 years old. That'll take him until he's like 29, maybe closer to 30. So you're having him in his prime ages. And then from there, it's either you re-sign him or you let him walk in that regard. Or if you're in a really weird, sticky situation, you could trade him in that final year of his contract, depending on because if you give him a no trade, no move, whatever that includes, right? But
and guess what he's deemed after this potential contract expires? A desirable asset that we can trade, which is fantastic. Okay, 6 years. 7.75.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think it's over 7. I don't believe it's over 8. And I would even say it's somewhere, I would be willing to meet you in the middle, that it's somewhere closer to 7.5, because I would have said 7.25. So I'll meet you in the middle on that one.
Okay, cool. I like it.
And then just looking at the depth chart right here, now you got someone like Bo and Byram. That's a pretty nice top top 4 right there, and you still have just under $14 million in cap space right there. And I think right there, Carlo, alone, that whole entire defense, even if you did end up making the Erik Karlsson trade, I think that is a more than fine defense core right there going into next season. It's definitely an improvement from last year. Your thoughts so far on this defense?
Yeah, so for folks that can't see the screen or anything like that, just to read this through, you got Bowen Byram and Moritz Seider as your top line defending unit. Your second unit is Simon Edvinsson and Erik Karlsson. And your third line is Ben Sherratt, Albert Johansson, and Eric Gustafsson is your 7th D. That's where we're at. How do I think it's pretty solid. I think that's pretty solid. Seeing is believing, but on paper, that's pretty good.
Now, I'm going to throw out another trade scenario, and a lot of people, I hate saying a lot of people. I'm going to say that there's been a decent amount of people out there that said goaltending needs to be adjusted, even with players like Cam Talbot and Peter Mrazek. I saw this one trade, and I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out there just for the giggles of it, and it involves the Vancouver Canucks with their goaltender, Thatcher Demko.
And I've seen this too.
And the trade that I saw was Cam Talbot. We technically don't have the pick anymore, but maybe somehow we could find it. But just for the sake of it, a 2026 second, a 2025 third, and Cam Talbot for Thatcher Demko. So you move on from $2.5 million. You add on an extra $2.5 million by taking on $5 million of Thatcher Demko's last year of his contract. If you were to accept that, you now have your number one goaltender of the future right there, up until whether if it's Kosa or Trey Augustine is ready to make that jump. And a lot of people have included Sebastian Kosa in goalie trades as well. Is this a scenario where you could even include Kosa for a Thatcher Demko, or for someone like Jake Ottinger with the Pete DeBoer situation, Carlo? So there's a lot of situations here you could do with goalies, but I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this one. But your overall thought on this particular trade and how you would go tackling a goalie trade if you could.
Well, I think I could tell you what I would want if I was the GM of the team that had the goalie that you wanted. I would say I want a goalie back, which you kind of check that box with Cam Talbot. He's just on the tail end of his career here. So how much longevity am I going to get out of Cam Talbot? I would for sure ask about Sebastian Kosa in that situation, because I would need somebody. You're filling the void and checking the box of giving me back a player in Cam Talbot that can technically, yes, he can play. I don't think he can play more than in a season. I don't think he could play more than 40 games, 45 games max. Therefore, I would for sure ask about Sebastian Kosa.
So let's just for giggles, let's venture into the Jake Ottinger situation. And the trades that we have seen was at the Kosa. I just saw him. Sebastian Kosa. I think we saw it was like a first and then like a second included in that. And I think there was like a prospect as well. Now, looking at something like this, Carlo, I wouldn't mind something like this. However, the only thing that kind of catches me is the fact that Jake Ottinger will have 7 more years with the Detroit Red Wings. You have Trey Augustine. Okay. Now, by the time that Trey Augustine makes the Red Wings, Jake Ottinger will probably have, 5 to 4 more years on his contract. Does Steve Yzerman, do we want Trey Augustine to be the backup for the Red Wings until he's 27 years old? Because I believe he's 20 right now, almost 21. So he'll be about that age range. So would that be a direction that we would want to go, being Steve Yzerman?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is I don't look at Trey Augustine as being the backup for the duration of Jake Ottinger's deal, though. You know what I mean? Like, he could very much steal the show. And listen, the NHL is turning into a very much 1A, 1B goalie type of league. Unless you have a rock solid Vezina winning superstar. Now, Jake Ottinger could very well be that. I mean, he's a great goaltender. But you know what? You got a guy, let's just say hypothetically here, that Trey Augustine is behind him. You don't think Trey Augustine's going to work his butt off when he's got Jake Ottinger kind of leading the way? That's something to chase. That's something to go and, hey, I got a goal here. I want to beat this guy out of his starting role. No offense, your teammates, your boys, you're going to push each other. I think it's a great situation to be in, and I think you could very well see maybe Jake Ottinger plays, 45 maybe plus games, and Trey Augustine gets the rest in this situation whenever the year may be where Trey's on the team, and if this even were to go through. But I don't look at Trey Augustine as like a backup for the duration of Ottinger's deal. I think Trey could be a very, very, very good 1B.
Based on that, then
I just don't know. Do you think that's enough? Like, I don't know if that's enough to get out of here.
No, you would have to include more, but I'm just for the sake of it, obviously, we've already traded some picks and everything, but it would be, to start off, it would be Kosa and a first just to start, right? I do believe that you would have to throw in some more. The other thing is, too, Carlo, is that, I mean, you look at Jake Ottinger's stats in the 58 games played for Dallas, 36 wins, 18 losses, 4 overtime losses, a 2.59 goals against, and a 909 save percentage. I'm not saying that those are weak numbers, but this is also a really good Dallas Stars team, right? And we know that goalies they're very voodoo. They have really good seasons and sometimes they have really bad seasons. I mean, he would still be the number one goalie for the Red Wings with that save percentage regardless, right? And so I just don't think that Jake Ottinger would be an answer on the back end for the Detroit Red Wings. I also think Thatcher Demko could be, but I think with that cap hit, I think you would actually...
Demko's injuries kind of scare me too, though.
Injuries, I think you taking on that cap hit from Dallas and then you giving them picks and you giving them young players, they thrive off of stuff like that, right? And they're already such a deep team. Do we want to help them as well while also helping us? So I'm not quite sure about that. But another scenario that I would like to venture out is a team that's actually going into a rebuild situation. And how about someone like Jeremy Swayman over at the Boston Bruins coming in with 7 years, $8.25 million. I actually don't mind this one, especially since they have Jonas Korpisalo locked up for another 3 years at a very serviceable cap number too. And, you know, this is a team that has to start figuring out what direction that they want to go in. Do they want to keep competing or do they actually want to start a rebuild after being so good for so damn long, Carlo? So your thoughts on a potential Jeremy Swayman trade instead of someone like Thatcher Demko or even Jake Ottinger?
Man, I would be really surprised if Boston moved on from Swayman. I know they're going into a rebuild, but like you always need a goalie. That whole saga when that went down, when Swayman got kind of held out and when he got his deal, like it was pretty clear that like he loves Boston, and I think Boston loves him too. Otherwise, they wouldn't have given him that deal. So I have a hard time even believing, first and foremost, that Boston would trade him. What it would take to get him, man, I think it would take a lot.
I also think it would take a lot because he comes in at a really good age. However, just to counter your point that he loves Boston and Boston loves him, you know who else did? Brad Marchand. And they traded him.
Yeah, you're right.
That was their captain.
It's a business. Hey, let's keep that in mind, folks.
And also, it kind of comes down to this too. If they want to go in a rebuild direction, I think you should experiment with a potential Jeremy Swayman trade. But if you don't and you want to stay somewhat competitive or at least have a goalie that helps you stay somewhat competitive, then yes, you absolutely keep someone like Jeremy Swayman because good goalies don't just fall off trees, right? I mean, we haven't had a really good goaltender in 10, 15 years, it seems like now, Carlo, and we're still waiting for these young guys to come up and make that impact that we've been waiting for, right? So how patient are we as Steve Yzerman to wait for Kosa and Trey Augustine to get to that point? And that's kind of why I keep on going back to someone like Thatcher Demko, because with this, he's only got 1 year left at $5 million. And to me, after this season, I do believe that you can get him on not like a 4 or 5 year deal. I think more like a 3 to 4 year extension deal, taking him until he's 33, 34 years old and kind of being that mentor for Kosa or Trey Augustine, whoever it is in that situation. But overall, would we consider this a good trade right here? Because to me, I feel like that this would be the best one. We can look at UFAs, but there's no good UFA options at goaltending, Carlo. So your overall, I guess, final decision on the goaltending situation here. Reminder, this is just for fun. We're not going to die on this.
This is 100%. This is 100%. This is the part that's the best about being like a fan. And thank you, PuckPedia. Like, we have to give them some mad props for allowing people to be able to do this because it really helps you in the process of seeking to understand. So just a quick shout out to PuckPedia because, yeah, man, like this is great. So me personally, I would go into next season with Cam Talbot and Peter Mrazek. That's just me. If we could pull that off all day long, I don't know if we could pull that off with Vancouver. Now, if we were to look at what we were giving away, Cam Talbot, 3rd-round pick, which is New York's, and then a 2026 2nd-round pick, I would try to see if we can find maybe a different goaltender. Demko's good, but his injuries scare me, dude. Yeah. They really do. But for the sake of this exercise, if you're asking me personally what my call is, I'm going into next season with Mrazek and Cam Talbot and a new goalie coach.
I would agree with you. I think if they weren't going to bring in a new goalie coach, then I would see them exploring the goaltending market via trade. But because of the new goalie coach, I actually think that they stick with Mrazek and Talbot. Yeah. Now, 1A, 1B situation, like you said, and that's what teams are looking for too. And we could see a situation where, Carlo, let's just talk about it. Do we see a situation where Alex Lyon could still be signed by Detroit Red Wings and they run 3 goalies again? Personally, I don't. I think
Lions really going. I think you know what? Kosa. I think Lions going back to Florida. I'll say it now. I think he's going right back to Florida because they need a goalie. They got Bob, and then they got to sign another goaltender. And I think Lions going right back to Florida.
Go get that payday, buddy. And by payday, absolutely. I mean no tax on your paycheck. So you'll get more out of it. And that would be good for them, honestly. I mean, he got a lot of playing time with us. And for someone like Florida, yeah, that would be a good addition for them. So, all right, Carlos. So we excluded the Thatcher Demko trade. So we were able to keep Cam Talbot, the 26th second, and this year's 3rd-round pick. So in terms of that, I mean, the defense is locked. Goaltending is locked. So let's go ahead and touch on the forwards. I mean, just kind of scrolling down, at any point, Nate Danielson, MBN, Ammo, any of these players, maybe wait and see. Let's touch on UFAs first. Or do you think that there are any more trades that you would like to explore for the forward end? We haven't really tried to touch on that. No. There are players like JJ Paterka, plenty of other players. I think I've seen a lot of Jonathan Marchessault, Detroit Red Wings, potential fit there. Obviously we got Sam Bennett over at UFA. We got a lot of things going on, but have you seen any particular trades on the forward end that you could potentially see happening for this team?
No, and I'm not saying that that's not possible. It's just I have been so focused on the free agent players and who we could go and sign and worrying about D via trade, which we've accomplished here.
Yep.
So I've really more been focused on UFA. So here's where it gets, I guess, spicy and interesting. First, I think what we should do, and I don't know if you agree with me on this or not, but I think we should sign Patrick Kane because I think it's the worst kept secret right now. Yeah. Like I think he's signing with Detroit for sure.
And it's a 1x4. It's the same exact thing as last
I would give
year.
Him the same,
Give or take $250K or $500K, right? Give or take with him. But for this scenario, it's a 1x4, and then you could add signing bonus or just bonuses, performance bonuses. Yeah, thank you, Carlo. Yeah. So, okay, Patrick Kane is done for right there. So going back over to the depth chart, Patrick Kane in this scenario for me going into next season, middle 6 guy, nothing more than that. But I would like to start him on the 3rd if I potentially can. Not in the 2nd line.
Yeah. Now here's the problem. You shoot your eyes to the top right. We got $9.7 million left. Mm-hmm. I think Patrick Kane's probably going to be on the 2nd line with Casper and DeBrincat, which now puts a hole on we have DeBrincat slotted on the top line left wing. So if we slot him down to fill the 2nd line with DeBrincat, Casper, Kane, we now have a hole on the top line left wing.
We're going to go back to trades because I do believe the rumor is, and this was on Elliot Friedman 32 Thoughts, that Tarasenko was not enthusiastic about the arrangements that they had with Detroit. And if those are true, just kind of touching on it, I don't think Tarasenko is a buyout candidate. I think you just send him back to his homeland over there in St. Louis, to be honest with you. You just take a 5th in 2026, trade Tarasenko. That helps take St. Louis right there. So 2026 5th for Vladimir Tarasenko's 1 year, $4.75 million. A 5th to St. Louis is literally nothing. Yeah, it could be Pittsburgh or it could be St. Louis's.
Oh, I see.
It really doesn't matter at that point. I mean, you're getting a player or you're getting a pick for that's going to be a potential player that might never even play for you. So it's basically at that point future considerations when you think about it. So in that scenario, I think that's a win for both sides. You move on from the cap for the Detroit Red Wings, and then St. Louis gets back a lethal winger that was really good for them for a long time. And he knows and loves that area, loves that arena, loves everything about St. Louis. And so I do think that there is space for that. And that just gives you $4.75 million back. And so the Red Wings now are back at almost $14.5 million in that. regard.
So here's where the fun starts, right? Because, we got still a lot of holes on this team that I don't think can be filled with the non-roster GR guys. I think there may be a case for a potential MBN sighting, maybe a Danielson sighting. However, that is very, very, very optimistic thinking, and it really depends on how they show in camp, obviously. But we got almost $14.5 million, and we got to sign still quite a few players. We actually might need to bring up MBN or Danielson to make something like this work. So now we have a decision to make. Are we going after the big fish?
And this is where I don't think, because, and I've said this a few times, I actually do believe that if you took, I think I said this last episode, that if you took a carbon copy of last year's team and if you inserted a Mitch Marner on it, then you would be in the playoffs this season. Now, in this scenario, you just made the defense a hell of a lot better by adding Bowen Byram and Erik Karlsson. And I said on previous episodes that if you just improve the defense, that should help out your PK. It's going to help you out on 5-on-5. That's going to help you get out of your zone, be able to break out, be able to enter into the O zone and everything that comes along with it, right? And so in that regard, I don't think you need to go for super big fish. But in this scenario, Carlo, we very much...
I'm happy you said that.
In last episode, we talked about we need physical, grit, tough to play against players.
Yep.
And there's a few players that come to mind with that. And we've touched on them before. So it could be a couple of these options. It could be someone like Sam Bennett, obviously. That's going to be the first player that comes to mind. Where is he on here? There he is. And then even someone like Brad Marchand. There's probably a couple of players out there as well. I've seen people even say someone like Nico Sturm downplaying as the 4C. We've heard that rumors that Jonathan Taves keeps on wanting to come back. I'm not saying that he's a physical guy.
37.
But for a guy to sign on a PTO, I think that would be more than fine. I'm not going to give him like a 1-year, $1 million deal by any means, but I think if you gave him a PTO, that would be more than fine. And going back to what you just said, we need to be more careful with the cap. And considering that we've heard that Sam Bennett could potentially garner close to $10 million, we have to be as frugal as possible and get players on the 1 to 2 year deals. You got to go and find the Christian Fishers out there in the world. Right. So as best as possible, the first year Christian Fisher, not the second year Christian Fisher. So, but Carlo, in your Steve Yzerman world, I know for a fact that you would first try to go after Sam Bennett, correct?
Yep. I would definitely go after Sam Bennett, and I'd probably pay him 8.5 by 6 years.
Now, to me,
I hate it. I just want to preface, I hate it.
Now, but to me, I would go, if I can, I would go 1 year less. I would go 5, nothing more. And I try to keep it as close to 7.5. I would be willing to meet you in the middle at a 6 by 8. Do you go to Sam Bennett and say, we believe that you are worth more per year than Lucas Raymond?
Bro, Sam Bennett could potentially make Lucas Raymond a superstar because of what he does away from the puck. Like, Raymond doesn't do what Bennett does. It's a completely different role. And I think when Raymond signed his deal, the cap was X. When Bennett's going into his new deal, the cap is no longer X, it's now Y. So there's so many different factors that play into it. It comes down to, at the end of the day, man, it comes down to, does Steve Yzerman truly, is he feeling the burn? If Steve's feeling the burn, he's going to go and do something crazy like that. Now, the reason why I'm okay, I know your reasoning for wanting 5 years. I do not disagree with it, dude, at all. My only thing with giving him 6, I know it's only a 1 year difference, is the fact that over the course of these 6 years, hypothetically, he's going to drop down in the lineup as other players pop up or trades are made, blah, 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 blah. That's why I'm okay with giving him until year 6. Because again, he by the time year 6 hits, he's probably going to be on the third line. Maybe not. Maybe he's going to be on the second line, but I have a feeling he'd probably be on the third line. And I'm okay with that for a year, 2 years at 8.5 when the cap's going to be even, $50 million more by that point? At least $50 million?
Yeah, I just keep on going.
That's my logic behind it.
I feel you on that. No, I get you on that for sure. I'm just going to kind of reiterate what I said last episode. I mean, he was a 100 pin guy. Our PK was horrible last season. He's never gotten more than 51 points in a season. I think he's only played one full NHL season, healthy and injury-free season. And then you talk about, dropping down in the lineup as he gets older and everything. You talk about, Carlo, how you can eventually drop him down in the lineup and everything. And I agree with you there. However, we're kind of already seeing that with players like Andrew Kopp, JT Comfort, and their cap hits aren't as high. And we hear a lot of fans and even ourselves griping about, damn, dude, we're paying this guy $5.625 million and he's playing on the third line, and that cap hit is really hurting us. Do we potentially see this happening to us? Because the only reason why I would be comfortable giving him this is that I'm okay. And I've said this, I think I said this last episode, that there are teams will have to go and get players that may not be the greatest in the regular season, like someone like Sam Bennett, but they are just absolute dogs in the playoffs, and that's where they shine the most. And so if he can do that consistently, and if we believe he can do that consistently, and we believe we can consistently make the playoffs for the next 6 years with him, then I would be comfortable giving this to him. But I don't know personally if he can do what he's done these last 2 seasons with a Stanley Cup winning team like the Florida Panthers with the Detroit Red Wings. And that's the part that scares me the most. Can he continuously, for the next 6 years, keep doing what he has been doing with the Florida Panthers? And then I also try to look at someone like, how would this affect someone like Alex DeBrincat when we have to re-sign him as well? Yes, cap keeps on going up, but then do you give someone like Alex DeBrincat the same deal like this, who almost put up 40 goals this past season for us and potentially could eventually? That would be super nice. So I'm just trying to play into those types of things, Carlos. So I'm a little hesitant to do this. Could we kind of meet in the middle and say maybe like a 5 to 6 at $8 million? Or can we go and venture maybe some other players in this UFA pool? If it's not Sam Bennett for top line, I maybe would make the argument for a Nikolai Ehlers, and then you would have to go out and get someone else for like that middle six for the grit.
Yeah, like you can go. So we could, for the sake of putting this together, I mean, sure, if you want to meet in the middle at 8x6, we could. I don't think that gets it done. Like, I think Bennett's going to get offered lots of offers, and I don't know if he'd go 8x6 in Detroit. However, here's the pitch. Sam, you're playing on the top line with Dylan Larkin and Lucas Raymond. You haven't played on the top line in Florida. So we're giving you an opportunity to go and play on that top line and do what you do. Now, here's the thing, Zach, like Steve Yzerman's got to be thinking somewhere in his mind, anywhere in his mind, that, okay, we're this far away from the playoffs. Like, we're going to make these moves and this is going to get us into the playoffs. Now, keep in mind, we missed by a empty net goal 2 years ago.
Yep.
This past season, we regressed a little bit, but we did lose quite a bit of goals as well. So again, like, he's got to be thinking, okay, we're close to the playoffs. So I can't see him not wanting a guy like Sam Bennett, because if in his mind, he thought this team could compete for a wild card spot. Well, hey, if we can still compete for a wild card spot, but this time break through and get in, and now you got Sam Bennett in the fold, who's a playoff phenom, they might be able to do things that are above expectation, depending on how this all gets constructed. And then you talk about Alex DeBrincat. I think there's more than enough money to make Alex DeBrincat work, even with Sam Bennett into the mix. But again, like, I don't think Bennett's going to get 10. I think that's insane. I think he's going to be in the 8s. I would be shocked if he even crossed 9. Sure, let's go 8x6 just for the sake, unless you want to explore Ehlers, which is a great option too. It's just the injury stuff is kind of freaky, but at some point I think you got to put that aside.
You got to make a move. That's the same. I could say the same thing about Bennett too, right?
I know.
I kind of touched
I
on
was
that.
just thinking.
Yeah. So, I mean, even someone like Nikolai Ehlers, I mean, a little bit more points in the regular season, not as tough and physical to play against when it comes to the playoffs, but that's a guy that's going to help you get into the playoffs, right? But there's that physicality that would be missing. So you would have to add someone into the middle six to help with that portion of it, right? So someone like Nikolai Ehlers, I mean, 29 years old, same thing as Sam Bennett, I wouldn't go any more than the 5 to 6 year deal. I probably wouldn't feel comfortable giving him 7 riding until he's 36, 37 years old, correct? So for someone like Nikolai Ehlers, you made it apparent, though, that Cheveldayoff, he's going to try and do his best to try and keep a player like Nikolai Ehlers. And so for that reason, I actually don't think that he makes it to free agency. I actually think that the Winnipeg Jets give him a lot of money just to keep him. And we've said this, or at least I have. These players' agents and these players, they're not stupid. They see the cap going up just as much as these general managers
they know how to
do.
play the game, dude.
So they're going to try and get what they can. But if I were the Detroit Red Wings, I just don't feel comfortable. And I don't think trying to put on my Steve Yzerman cap, I don't feel comfortable paying anyone more than what Raymond makes, what Dylan Larkin makes, or what Moritz Seider makes. Obviously, going back to it, we obviously traded for Erik Karlsson in these trades, whatever, that's $10 million. But for UFA sakes, I just don't see it unless it's someone like Mitch Marner. Maybe the case for Sam Bennett, because you truly believe that he is that dog that you need in the playoffs when that time comes, right? So to me personally,
I would go back to Bennett. I would go back to Bennett because you brought up a great point, fitting the physicality, checking that box. Give him 8.25 by 6.
Yeah.
Humor me.
At that point, it's either top line or you go this route. I actually don't think that is a bad second line if you put Marco Kasper over to the left, Sam Bennett at the center, and then Patrick Kane on the right. I actually don't mind that.
I would even flip Kasper into DeBrincat and put Kasper back on with the top line because he really gives Larkin and Raymond legs, man. Like, Kasper's another dog. So now you have a dog in Kasper on your top line feeding Larkin and Raymond, and then you got a dog in Sam Bennett on your second line feeding DeBrincat and Kane. This is what we need, dude. Like, we need a guy who's skilled, but is also a pain in the ass. Kasper's a pain in the ass. So is Sam Bennett, as we all know. Now your top two lines are low. You got a pain in the ass on each line. We're officially already harder to play against.
And for this sake, I don't mind this top six at all whatsoever. I'm very hesitant with this, though. I would prefer it to see Marco Kasper as the 2C, but I agree with you.
I think you're gonna get the looks, man. I think you're gonna see looks. If that were to be the top six going into the season, you're gonna see different combos. You're gonna have to see how it works out.
Now, the only issue and gripe that I have with the second line is, are they going to be able to keep up? Patrick Kane, obviously not the fastest guy in the world anymore. Alex DeBrincat, yeah, he's a pretty speedy guy. Sam Bennett, how fast is he going to be and be able to keep up after being in 2 Stanley Cup finals back to back?
I think if they get into the zone, just hear me out. Guys, if I'm dreaming, just tell me. But if they get into the zone, which I think Patrick Kane's still one of the best zone entry players. Like, his hands are insane and his vision. So he feeds it to DeBrincat. DeBrincat fires in because he's pretty speedy. DeBrincat gets it in. Sam Bennett's coming at you, and he's gonna muck you up, and he's gonna get the puck. He's gonna win the battle, and you got Patrick Kane and Alex DeBrincat freed up, waiting for the pass. Like, how many times how many times have we gone into the offensive zone and lost the puck and lost the battle within 4 seconds, and it's a 2-on-1 the other way? Exactly. I don't know if that's going to happen. Kane, yes, he's a little bit of a liability getting back. Not a dig at him. He's just not, his speed's not there. But DeBrincat, I watched that guy back check all season, man. He looks really, really good. And I really don't think Sam Bennett's going to lose a lot of battles if he's the guy coming in to go right into those battles. I don't see him losing a lot because he does that dirty stuff so well. And I think that's exactly what DeBrincat and Kane would want in a centerman if he comes in on the second line center. So that's my logic, I guess, behind that.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And now we're kind of back at this point where the Red Wings only have just a little over $6 million in cap space, $6.236 million. And it's kind of going back to looking at some of these contracts. I mean, you have players like Marco Kasper coming in at under $900 million, or $900,000, $900 million. Could you imagine? Oh my God! One day NHL, you'll be giving contracts like that. Elmer Soderblom at $900K. You have Carter Mazer down there for $905K. You even got players like Albert Johansson down there at $900K, and Simon Evanson still on really good cap-friendly deals for the Detroit Red Wings. But we still have 4 more contracts we need to sign, Carlo, and this is to the point where Steve Yzerman has to find those first-year Christian Fischer types of players, right? And so this is where it kind of gets tricky for us, really, is trying to figure out who could really fit on that third line. Maybe that comes from within. But for this scenario, too, I think someone like Selmer Otterblom on that left wing with Andrew Kopp is actually a really good fit to me personally. I think that adds size. You have Andrew Kopp, who can bring in the two-way type of game. Elmer Soderblom, he's that physical sense that replaces the Michael Rasmussen. And that is why I felt comfortable with moving on with someone like Michael Rasmussen. I think Elmer Soderblom could come in and I don't want to say carbon copy and paste do exactly what Michael Rasmussen did, but I think he's more than a fine replacement in that type of situation. And then if you can add someone who can score the puck, I think that's what you're looking at. Maybe that's someone like Carter Mazur, but I'm not quite sure. I think that this is a scenario where he actually becomes the extra player in this scenario. What are your thoughts overall so far?
I can see Carter Mazur being on the fourth line, probably with so here's where it gets fun. You go Carter on the fourth line. You got Soda on the opposite side of Carter. You're going to need a 4C, and you put up with Andrew Kopp. Let's go back to MBN and Danielson.
So in this scenario for the fourth line, Carlo suggests Carter Mazur, Nate Danielson, Elmer Soderblom, and then MBN on the third line, right wing, since he shoots right. I actually don't mind that. Or
what if we were to put Danielson on the wing with Kopp and Brandon Nygaard? I guess they both shoot the same handle, right?
Yes, that would be my fleck about it, was that they both shoot right. So in this situation, I think I would be more inclined to put Nate Dogg there at the 4C. Just make it a kid line at that point. You can even go.
Do you think that's realistic? Like, do you think they would want to put Danielson on a 4C role when he could be like a 1C in GR? Or at some point you just got to make the call and put him up and see if he can do it?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I look at Grand Rapids. I mean, they have Amadeus Lombardi, they have Emmett Finney, they have Dosette, they have Shine, Sheldon Dries. They also have someone like Austin Watson who could come down, not playing the center, but on the wing, right? And so they have plenty of centers that they could utilize. Yeah, and I don't foresee players like Dominic Shine saying like, okay, yeah, I'm okay with playing 3C, or Sheldon Dries even saying like, yeah, I'm okay with playing 3C, right? So you're going to have to make that executive decision where yeah, Nate Danielson could go in there and play the 1C, but I do believe ultimately, we said it with the episode with Hockeytown West, it's either he's on the lineup or he starts out as the 1C in Grand Rapids, and eventually if an injury happens, then you make that call up. But with an MBN situation, I think what he has showcased us in the SHL playoffs, coming over in Grand Rapids and playing in the playoffs, and then going over to the Worlds and showcasing how physical he can be as a player and still put up points. I think that is actually your Tarasenko replacement right there.
Yep.
I do believe that MBN is, and this isn't a hill that I'm going to die on. I do believe that MBN is Tarasenko lights, just based on the size, their overall play, the way they can shoot the puck, the way they can score. I believe that MBN can be that guy for the Red Wings eventually for us. So that's why I'm putting him on the third line. I think he can bring grit. And for that reason, I would push Carter Mazur and Elmer Soderblom down to the fourth line.
Yep.
And so you have Carter Mazur, Nate Danielson, Elmer Soderblom. You have Nate Danielson for the two-way, Carter Mazur for the scoring, and then Elmer Soderblom for the reach and the physical and the forechecking sense of it. If you can get him to do that for Elmer Soderblom, right? So like I said, that's your Rasmussen replacement right there. And so from here, Carlo, if we looked at it, you pretty much just need a third line left winger, and you would have to go into free agency for something like that. I don't think that you have a spot to actually call up another player.
No, I agree. That spot's got Brad Marchand's name all over it, does it not?
It does, but can he? Is he willing to take a 1x4? Because that's all we have left in this scenario is $4.4 million, and we still need to sign 2 more players as well. So we have to be very careful here with who we go after. Now, is this a scenario where we could see a trade as well? Potentially, yeah. I think that there is a spot out there where, you know, maybe there's something you could do with Jonathan Marchessault or maybe Mason Marchment over in Dallas, and you could try and figure out something there, right? And so I'm actually very curious to find out, and your thoughts on this, on something like a Jonathan Marchessault trade, because a lot of people think that he can be
5.5 by 4. How old is Marchie?
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that he is 33 years old.
No chance. That dude, that's something that's got Kopp and Comfer's name all over it. Tell me I'm wrong. I can't get behind that.
Now, what if the Nashville Predators came to you and said, we will give you Tampa Bay's second round pick in 2025 for him.
You'd have to retain some money too, Nashville. He's 33 at 5.5. Like, you got to retain $2 million. That might be a little high, but that's the only thing for me personally. That's the only thing that would make me want to do this.
I mean, that would be the only way it could work in this scenario, because you take away $2 million, that's 3.5. You're only left with $900,000 if you were the Detroit Red Wings. So in this scenario,
I don't think we're getting that second round pick though. If you're retaining, if they're going to retain $2 million on that, I don't think we're getting a second round pick.
Let's see. And the Red Wings, I don't know. I look at it as, in this scenario, they technically would have to if the Detroit Red Wings wanted him, if we wanted him, right? And so with that, do you believe Jonathan Marchessault can continue to be the type of player that he is? While I do believe, and this is a guy who has won a Stanley Cup. I mean, he in 78 games, he put up 56 points, a minus 29 though, Carlo.
Yeah, dude, I'm out on Marchie, man. I mean, listen, Nashville had a really weird year. That 29 minus 29, there's probably an asterisk around it. They just could not find a groove. They could not find any chemistry. I don't know what was happening there. But his age, his deal, his performance, I'm out on March. I'm out on Jonathan. I shouldn't say Marchie because now you got Marchman up there, and that could go both ways. Jonathan Marchessault, I'm out on. Marchment, I think I'm interested in because I do like the way he plays. He's got a little bit of a bite.
Yep, 62 games played, 22 goals, 47 points. For a player like this, he's 29 years old, shoots left, he's 6'5", 212 pounds. That's size for you on your third line, coming at $4.5 million for one more year left. You would be just over on the cap though, right? And so in this scenario, probably same thing. You would need Dallas to retain some cap in this situation. And so for a trade like this for the Detroit Red Wings, going over to Dallas, I don't even know what Dallas would want in this scenario. They don't really have picks. They don't have a lot of picks. They don't have a first or second this year. They don't even have a first or a third next year or in 2026. So, I mean, this could
our
be
first round. Our 2025 1308.
I don't know if I would go that much. I don't think it would actually take a lot
for Marchment.
Just for giggles, maybe something like this, and then you could like New York Rangers 25 third, Pittsburgh's 26 fifth round pick, and then let's include someone like.
You don't think Dallas would want a player back that can play right now?
Rudy. No, they want the cap so that they can go out and sign players in free agency.
That's fair. Rudy's my boy.
So the rights to Rudy will never play for the Detroit Red Wings. I love Rudy, but there is absolutely no chance, unless for whatever reason, Kosa and Trey Augustine are just huge flops, and Rudy just showcases, I'm the captain now. I'm the number one guy, right? And so in this scenario, how does Mason Marchment for Rudy Gaumond, 2025 third round pick, New York Rangers, 2026 fifth round pick, Pittsburgh, and then even for giggles, let's say Dallas Stars retain $1.5 million in cap, so it's a $3 million cap hit, and then we still have $1.4 million.
I would be thrilled. I would be absolutely thrilled at that deal. I don't know if they would retain. I don't even know if they'd retain $1 million, dude.
Probably not. So in this scenario, this trade would not work at all, based on the way we have the roster constructed. So at this point, a trade really doesn't make sense, and it would have to come through via free agency, Carlo. And so who would you want as a third line left wing? I keep on going back to someone like Brad Marchand, but does he want to play against Boston 4+ times a year? Probably not. Does he want anything less than $4 million? Probably not. How bad does he want to play with someone like Patrick Kane and Sam Bennett?
Well, he's got the relationship with Bennett. So, I mean, if Detroit were to somehow squeak Bennett into Detroit's system, I think that would probably be your in for Brad Marchand. I would try to sign him for like $375 by one. Yeah, man, I'm just looking for the bite, man. I'm looking for the bite. Like a guy like Brad Marchand. The thing is I don't think Detroit's going to go on a cup run next year. So, I mean, I could also see a world where they don't sign Brad Marchand and they look internally for somebody to fill that third line gritty, skilly type of role. I mean, you know what I'm thinking too now is boy, it'd be nice to have Rasmussen as the 4C because then you can flip Danielson.
I just think that the experiment, if the Red Wings thought that he was a centerman, he would be a centerman by now, and they wouldn't have gone out and gotten players like Andrew Kopp and JT Comfort. That's the only downfall with that.
True.
Kind of focusing on the left wing, I'm looking at some of these players. Someone like Brandon Tanev. I mean, granted, 22 points in 79 games played. He's 33, but that's a guy with size and physical prowess to his name. And those eyeballs, they're scary.
Facts.
That's your
I would
Alex
just like
Line replacement right there.
I would just like to sign him just to see his picture with the Red Wings uniform on this time.
And I think a player like this, I mean, 33 years old, I mean, 22 points. I mean, you can kind of give him a Christian Fischer like deal. I mean, maybe a little bit more, but I think 1.75,
I think with the cap,
maybe 2.
Yeah, well, with the cap going up, man, I think you'd probably have to give him definitely 2, if not a little touch more. Sure.
For this scenario, a 1 year by $2.25 million for Brandon Tanev, which leaves you with just over $2 million. And so I actually don't mind that. I think that is a very, very good third line. So far, right now, we just need one more player to sign. And we can even consider moving Austin Watson down, to be honest with you. But so far, the way we have the lineup shaked up is Marco Casper, Dylan Larkin, Lucas Raymond, Alex DeBrincat, Sam Bennett, Patrick Kane, Brandon Tanev, Andrew Kopp, MBN, Carter Mazer, Nate Danielson, Elmer Soderblom. Carlo, to be honest with you, I really, really like this lineup situation here, to be honest with you. I think that this is absolutely light years way better than the forward group that we had last year, just by adding players like Sam Bennett and Brandon Tanev and moving on from players like Tarasenko and JT Compher, who not only weren't producing offensively, but their defense skills weren't there whatsoever. I didn't have any really expectations for Tarasenko to play any defense, but JT Compher, man, I mean, you're replacing him with Brandon Tanev, someone who could come in and actually play on the PK for you as well. Andrew Kopp, we've seen him. He was doing a lot better in the neutral zone. Overall, just his overall play was a lot better. MBN coming in and playing that physical sense and learning from someone like Brandon Tanev as well. And then that's going to help out players like Carter Mazer as well, too. We know that he can have some grit in his bite, too, right, when he goes out there and plays. We need to see that out of Elmer Soderblom. I think Nate Danielson also has some dog in him, but it's going to show up more once he makes it into the NHL. So your thoughts and opinions so far on this forward group?
I think, dude, the whole thing, even the D, like, I think it's definitely a better team. It's definitely a deeper team. I think what I like the most is that you don't have guys that are being over-indexed.
Correct.
I just don't see any over-indexing here. You could argue with Patrick Kane, but it's Patrick Kane, and he's playing with Alex DeBrincat, and that's just a 1-2 punch that I'm down to run back. But other than that, I think this is a pretty solid lineup. The only thing that I would say that's a little scary is that fourth line, just because I really don't know what to expect. We've seen Mazer play one shift in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
Danielson hasn't played in the NHL. Soda has. That's the only line that I don't know how realistic that fourth line is, but that's okay because we got $2.15 million left in cap. We made some moves to make this all work, and we obviously left a little bit of a buffer there, which is good. Maybe that fourth line is a line they take a chance on. Maybe it's not. We really don't know. We're just having fun here. But that's really it for me. If I had to make any comment at all, it's just I don't know how realistic that fourth line is, but I've been wrong many times before. So I mean, who knows? Maybe they're feeling young.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I think at this point, what it would come down to is you would have to look at the structure of how your power play units look and your PK. Power play, I'm actually not most worried about because our power play was top 10, sometimes top 5 in the league, right? So on the PK, right, do you have enough people on the PK that are going to help you be better than a bottom 5 PK team, right? And so that's kind of where you got to start asking the question with that fourth line that you mentioned, right? Can these 3 players be serviceable players? And even throwing in someone like MBN to be on that PK, right? Because we're going to see Dylan Larkin. We're going to see, we've seen Lucas Raymond play on the PK. I don't think that we need to be seeing Lucas Raymond playing in the PK. So right now, it's probably more than likely Marco Casper, Dylan Larkin. You'd probably throw in Andrew Kopp in there, Brandon Tanev.
And then defenseman.
And then a defenseman. That's your first PK unit. And then your second PK unit. Well, okay, the first one, Marco Casper, Dylan Larkin. a defenseman and maybe like Brandon Tanev. Then your second one would be Andrew Kopp. Yeah, I'm kind of lost from there then at that point. So you got to look for.
You might have to work Raymond back into the second unit.
Right.
If you can put out a good first unit to take on the big wave of the power play and eat up, 60 to 100 and to maybe 60 to 100 seconds, and then that second unit comes out to finish it off, I would be fine with Lucas Raymond being on the second PK unit, because hopefully he's not out there killing it for longer than 40 seconds, but that's in a perfect world.
Yeah, and then looking at it from Steve Yzerman's lens, I do believe that Nate Danielson actually won't be on the roster. I actually don't think that he would be an extra personally. I think Steve Yzerman would go out and get a vet that played that 4C. And going back to it, if an injury arises, then that's when Nate Danielson gets that call up. And this is where I kind of go back to, I know people are going to hate it, Jonathan Toews on a PTO, really cheap deal. Just a PTO, just to see if it works out in training camp. And if it does, that he can skate and be somewhat effective, at least with the passing. And if you put Jonathan Toews between Elmer Soderblom and Carter Mazur.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea, actually. For what, 1 year?
Yeah, one year. Let's say the PTO works out 1 year. He looks really good in training camp. He looks good in the preseason. 1 by 1.
Well, I would compare that deal to what did Pacioretty get? I can't remember. Yeah, I'm trying to look for it too.
1 year.
I think 873.
Yep, 1 year. What it says is average. It was a 1 by 1.5. So I'm assuming that there was bonus attached to that.
Yeah, I think there was performance bonus, because what I'm looking at is 1 year, 873,770 AAV, and then there was probably some performance bonuses on that.
Yeah, and they're right around the same age too. So yeah, even if it's, I said million at the max. You would not go over that for someone like Jonathan Toews. But in this scenario, we don't even have to think about Jonathan Toews, but that would be the cheapest option you could involve right there at that 4C. Another option I would be very interested in adding is actually Nick. If I can hit the
Bukestad?
right. No, I was going to say Nico Sturm. He's 30 years old, can play the wing as well, so he's versatile. 62 games, 14 points, -6.
Can he kill penalties?
He probably can. He was playing with San Jose Sharks. Let me check on that real quick. Sturm, San Jose Sharks, Lions. Yeah, let me just double check. Wait, did he play for San Jose?
No, I think it was it Minnesota?
Florida.
He's on Florida right now?
He was with the Sharks this year, though. He was with them. Now he's on Florida.
Where in the lineup is he? I don't even see him in the lineup.
He's probably an extra at this point.
Yeah. What about Bukestad?
Yeah, you would. Yeah, in this scenario, I honestly believe that it doesn't really matter who the player is, but you obviously need someone that will play the PK for you, right, on that fourth line. And then if you are going the route where your depth chart, your fourth line looks like this, where it's kids under 24 years old, you're gonna have to get someone that's in their 30s or at least closer to 30s for that spot to mentor and showcase the ropes to these young guns right here, the ways on how to play in the NHL properly.
I got an idea, Zach.
What's your idea, Carlo?
We built out here a pretty sweet looking roster, but I think maybe we leave that 4C spot empty. And we're going to throw it over to the folks, the keyboard warriors, the people that are engaging with us on a weekly basis, which we thank you for very, very much, by the way. And we love engaging with everybody. But I think we leave that 4C blank, and let's hear from the people, man. What would you guys put in there?
I agree. Let's hear your thoughts and opinions so far about this roster overall and who you would put in the 4C. Let us know about these contracts. Obviously, we're not going to live and die on these trade scenarios, these contracts. This was overall just for fun. We wanted to showcase to you guys how much actually goes into the thought process. And while it is easy to say, oh yeah, Sam Bennett, let's get him for 7 years for $6 million. I can go ahead and do that right after this episode, right? But we tried our best to be as Steve Yzerman-esque as possible and how challenging it actually is for a general manager to make these tough decisions. I would love to edit Erik Karlsson. Do I think it actually happens? No. But I saw that trade online, Carlo, and I was like, honestly, that's really not that bad. But if they were to retain some cap on that, let's say even if they retained $2-3 million on that, you'd have to give up someone probably better than William Wallander.
Yeah,
I probably could
for
make
sure.
the case where if you didn't give Buffalo JT Comfer, you could give them to Pittsburgh, honestly, and
Yeah, that's
swap
what I
for
mean.
Michael
Like,
Rasmussen.
there's absolutely different swaps that there's so many different scenarios and so many different swaps you can do to make this work. But let's do a quick recap before we wrap it.
Yep.
Trades that we made, so stay right there. We got Erik Karlsson, and we traded away Justin Hall, William Wallander, and Michael Rasmussen. That's trade number 1. Trade number 2 was we got Bowen Byram. We traded away Jonathan Berggren, JT Compher, and a 2025 second-round pick.
And then we ended up extending Bowen Byram to a 6-year, $7.5 million deal, playing on the top line with Moritz Seider, who we assume will just be interchangeable with Simon Edvinsson. So he's not a lock at that top spot, but because of the situation in Buffalo where he's unsatisfied with his playing time, being that 1 or 2 guy, he's still going to get close to that 20 minutes plus per night, every single night.
Yeah.
So.
And then, you get right into, I guess we moved Tarasenko as well, which was more of a cap dump for a 2026 5th-round pick from Pittsburgh, which then allowed us to go and do what we did right here below. So that's kind of what it looks like, folks. That's kind of the team we made, and now the ask is on you. What are you guys putting in that 4C position with $2.15 million left? Are you taking a chance on Johnny Toews? Right? We're going to put him to a PTO, see what he's got, and sign him for $1 million? Or are you going to go and get a guy, that's actually played hockey for the last few years and can kill some penalties?
I actually don't. And just to touch on the Taves, just to kind of even make it more enticing for Red Wings fans, I just look at it from the perspective of what Patrick Kane has done for some of the young guys on this team. The way that Jonathan Taves, his hockey IQ, the Stanley Cups that he's won, the situations that he's been in, and being on a 4C line with players like Carter Mazur, Elmer Soderblom, whether if it's NBN or even Nate Danielson, we could see a situation where Jonathan Taves is just the extra forward and he's there just to teach the rope to the young guys too, and he swaps in and out every once in a while. So that's why I would be interested in the Taves, but I do believe that there are probably better players out there they can go and garner and get for that 4C spot that actually have played in the NHL the last couple of years.
So I will say this before we wrap. I will say this. When we started this episode, I was like an immediate, you said Jonathan Toews' name and I was an immediate pass. I'm not an immediate pass anymore. But with this exact circumstance, with 2 kids on the wings, I hate it less. The idea of Jonathan Toews, granted that he actually can still play, keep up, and provide some value to the team. So I will say that. But anyway, we're back turning it over to you guys. Let us know in the comments, who are you putting in that 4C position? If you want to grill us on the makeup of this team, you are more than welcome to do that as well. But please provide some, if you're gonna grill it, why? What would you have done differently? You never know. Maybe we'll make another roster with what you would do differently.
Yeah, please.
More importantly, let's see what that 4C spot looks like too.
Yeah, please actually let us know with some context behind it. Please. I can't keep reading these comments of just like saying like, oh, you did this. And it's like, okay, well, what would you have done? Please say what you would have done. That makes the engagement a lot more fun for us as well. We try to do our best with you guys. But yeah, Carlo, I guess no final thoughts with this other than I will say that our good buddy Red Wings prospect did announce actually that, who was it? Detroit no longer has the exclusive rights to Liam Dower-Nilsson, who was a former 5th-round pick in 2021 after today, if they do not give him a tendering offer. At least we'll still have Noah, the better of the Dower-Nilsson brother.
Take what we can get.
Other than that, I don't think we have any final thoughts, Carlo. I think we pretty much said it all. You said it really well. Yeah, we just want to hear from you guys. Who would you insert in that 4C spot? I think players like Bukestad, Nico Sturm, Jonathan Toews, we do believe that would have to be someone who could play PK, someone who can mentor these young guys. Between the 4 that we have right there, that would be surrounding him, right? And so, yeah, let us know down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe if you aren't already, if you're brand new. If you are returning, thanks for stopping by again. If you're over on Spotify or Apple, make sure to hit that follow button, rate us the 5 stars. And until next time, we'll see y'all on the next one. See ya.
See you guys.
Later, and bye-bye.